Hey, it's Nate, and today I am doing Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan. Legendary song and so much fun to play and sing. Also, it's pretty easy to learn. While there's a lot of words in the song, there aren't a ton of chords. It's basically just the same couple of chord progressions repeated throughout. On the recording, there's a ton of layers: guitar, piano, organ, bass. This isn't a tutorial to play exactly what the piano played in its role on the recording. Rather, it's an arrangement to capture the energy of the song and do an awesome sounding cover of it. I'll get you started playing and singing the verses and choruses, and then I'll go back through with some optional details to spice things up. Let's jump in. Okay, so first off, I recommend you get the chords and lyrics chart. There's a link down in the description. That's going to help you follow along and see where the words and the chords line up with each other. And there are a lot of words in this song, so it is extra helpful. This song is in the key of C major, so all white keys, which makes it convenient. And this is middle C, so you get the octave right. I'm going to skip over the intro for now. We'll do that last, but here are the chords for the verses. Here's what that first line is going to sound like. We'll start with that C major chord. This is an inversion of C. We got E, G, and C. I'm using my second finger on G. And then way down here with my fifth finger, I'm doing a C bass note. Next, we've got a D minor 7. So I'm going to do a D bass note here, and we can just voice the top part of the D minor 7 chord in the right hand, F, A, C. Notice coming from the C, that's really smooth. 1 and 2, and then 1 and 3, just stepping into that shape. Next, we've got an E minor chord. So E, G, and B with E down here. And once again, we can kind of make use of our different fingers to make the transition really smooth. My second and fourth finger are already on the G and B, so I can just step into it and do 1, 2, 4 like that. Of course, if you're more comfortable just hopping 1, 3, 5 around, that also works. Okay, now we can just step nicely into that F major chord. So the right hand's doing the same thing it was for the D minor 7 chord, but now the bass note is actually F. And then finally, we can just step up to a G major chord, G, B, D. I'm using my first finger now for that G bass note. And we're in 4/4 time, so each of these measures get 4 counts. Now notice the first 2 measures have 2 chords in them each. So those chords will get 2 counts each. They are splitting up the 4 counts. I'll play through that with the counting, and I'm just gonna start doing quarter notes in my right hand. So just pulsing on every count. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then G lasts 2 full measures for 1, 2, 3, 4. Then of course we hit the times 2 and it does that whole progression again. Once you do the second time through that line, we've got this really easy line that's just a measure of F, 2, 3, 4, and a measure of G. That's for the you used to laugh about, and again, everybody that was hanging out. Now this is also an opportunity to, if you want, to use 1, 2, and 4 on the F, and then 1, 3, and 5, just to really optimize your fingering. And the third line is sort of the reverse of the first line, where we're just stepping down through the F, the E minor, the D minor 7, and the C. And it just repeats that twice. So the first measure is F, 2, E minor. Notice I'm doing 1, 2, 4 there. Then D minor 7, 2, C, 4. So that's 2 measures, and then it just does it again. Now you don't seem so proud. Okay, one more line. D minor 7 for a full measure. F for a full measure. Your next meal. And then G for 2 measures. Of course, that's building into how does it feel going into the chorus. At this point, I want to just add one optional layer of adding a bit more rhythm in the left hand to get some more energy out of this. We're going to need to be thinking in eighth notes, so not just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, but dividing the beat in half, counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and in addition to hitting on count 1, I am also going to hit on the and after 2 and then the 3. So climbing up the bass notes in that first line, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now when you're just hanging out on a chord like the G, maybe you don't need to do the and 3 because we're not moving to a new chord. You could just do the ands 3, 4 and 1, 2. Just keep it a little more simple there. And maybe at the end on those Gs, when we're really building energy into the chorus, you could go back and forth with a few more eighth notes, like 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and just back and forth building the energy. Okay, let me play through this first verse and then we will look at the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once upon a time you dressed so fine, threw the bums a dime in your prime. Didn't you? People call, say beware doll, you're bound to fall. You thought they were all kidding you. You used to laugh about everybody that was hanging out. Now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud about having to be scrounging your next meal. How does it feel? Okay, so this C is the downbeat of the chorus. So here's the chords for that. It is really simple. We've got 2 counts of C, 2 counts of F, and then 4 counts of G. And it repeats through that just a bunch of times. How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home? And so on. I do want to point out that it's only this first chorus that it repeats 5 times, and every other chorus it's 6 times before we get to the very last repeat. The last line here, which is the same thing, except for it lasts an extra measure on G as it sort of builds into the verse, and that's where the harmonica always comes in. And just like the build at the end of the verses, which is also 2 measures of G, you can do some extra eighth notes. In a bit, I'll give you some more intense ways to spice things up there. But one other thing I would add here is to really build that anticipation, we could do a G dominant 7, like on the last measure of G there. And the way that I would do that, rather than doing the full voicing on that, would just be to drop your first finger. So it's like an inversion, like that. So that would be leading back, oh, you're going to the finest school. But of course, how could we talk about this chorus without thinking about that organ part, It is so catchy and feels like a real important part of the chorus. So what I'm gonna do is build it into what my right hand is already doing. So that organ melody is C, A, G, A, G. Counting is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2, 3, 4. So we're already hearing that first C melody note sticking out based on the inversion we're doing. And then when we get to the F, that A is part of the chord, and so we just need to go back and forth between the chord and the G note. 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4, and getting to that next chord is a little bit awkward. You could just wait until beat 2 to pick up there. Another thing that I like to do here is do a different inversion of the G, just so we can keep our second finger on that G. So that would be D, G, and B. It's just inverted down 1. That makes it a little easier to finish the melody and then just step into the G chord. And of course, any of this would sound good with the right hand up an octave. Just playing around with the inversions there. So I'm starting to get into the ways to spice it up. So maybe let's just keep going. I'll go back to the verse and just give you a bunch of ideas. So here's the verse progression again. And while I'm thinking of it, actually, that last line is slightly different in the third and fourth verses. In the first and second verses, he does just that full measure of D minor 7, about having to be scrounging, then a full measure of F, 2, 3, next, Neo. But for verse 3 and 4, it actually looks like that. He stays on the D minor 7 for 2 extra counts and then is only on the F for 2 counts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. After he took from you everything he could steal. So one of the main ways to be spicing up this piano part, adding more energy, is just to add more rhythm, more eighth notes. So we've been doing this rhythm with the left hand, but what if we also added a hit on the and after 3 and the and after 4? I'll demonstrate on the second line where we're going back and forth between F and G. So it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I think this sounds really good. And that's not far away from just doing every single eighth note. So it places where it really builds. You're invisible now, you got no secrets to conceal. You can just do all the eighth notes there. You could even do them with the right hand. So there's definitely going to be parts in the song where if it feels right, I'm just going to pulse on those eighth notes. And maybe even add some left-hand octaves. I think throughout the song, especially on the chorus, but anywhere where it's building, I like it on the G's to just reach down to the lower G octave if you can make that stretch, and that gives you even more options to do some eighth note rhythms using the octaves. You can hit the octave and then just go back and forth on eighth notes like that with your first finger. But really, anytime you want more power, you can just switch to the octave. So I might do that for the chorus a bit. Feel. Another good thing you can do on those G moments, also based on the guitar line, would be doing an inversion and an arpeggio. There is an electric guitar line that does that. So you can just play around with whatever rhythm, but I just inverted that up one. And honestly, like throughout, especially in places where we're hanging out on the G, if you've practiced your inversions, you can just do cool stuff stepping between them on rhythms. Or you could even just jump up an octave in places. That sounds really good. Another thing I might do on the G's when I really want to build is just straight up 16th notes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a back and forth between the hands. I know I'm throwing a lot at you here, and in my playthrough I'm going to demonstrate a bunch of this stuff, just sort of improvise with it, throw it in, so you can hear how all these different things sound in context. But if you want to work more on these kind of tricks for spicing up your piano parts, getting some of these rhythms and inversion moves into your muscle memory so you can deploy them on any song you play, check out my course Piano Chord Breakthroughs. There's a link down in the description. One more specific thing from the recording that I hear the electric guitar do at the end of verses building into the chorus that I think is really cool is this little riff. So it's like taking the G sus2 and just building it into an arpeggio on A, B, D, and doing those as eighth notes like 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. After he took from you everything he could steal. So maybe on the second measure here, how does it feel going into the chorus? Okay, that is just about everything I wanted to talk about, but we still have to know how to start the song and finish the song. I skipped over the intro, so let's do that now. Here's what it looks like. It's just this measure, C, and then F major 7 over C happens 4 times. The way I'm going to play it, it'll sound like this. So at its core, it's 2 counts of C and then 2 counts of F major 7 over C. So that's F, A, C, E. And if you can't make that stretch, you could totally just do F, A, C or A, C, E. 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, or, and I'm still doing those offbeat hits in the left hand. But to really get the effect, we need this little stepping into the second chord. So going from 1 and 2 on the E and G to 1 and 3 on the F and A. And for the rhythm, we need 16th notes, thinking 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And on count 3, we're actually going to hit that chord again, the C chord, and then on the E, immediately after, we're going to step into what's really this F major chord. 1, 2, 3 E and a. Okay. But then we still need that high E that one of the electric guitar does. It really kind of makes the color of the part. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4. I'm just going to hit it on 4. I'm going to just stretch like that. I'm probably not even going to hit that C again. I think it sounds really nice to just do F, A, and E there on beat 4. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4. 1, 2. Then a 4th time, and then you would start the first verse. And then how to end it. Here's what the chords to the final chorus look like. Like most of the other choruses, it goes through 6 times with singing. And then on the second line here, it's really just the same thing, but more of it without singing. Where unlike the other choruses, it's just 1 measure of G, and it just repeats around. There's a harmonica solo, and the recording fades out, which is hard to do when it's just you and piano. So I'm just going to take this moment and probably let it be an opportunity to just really let loose with the piano part. And then whenever I feel like I want the song to wind to a close, maybe a slight slowdown, and then just end on C. Maybe I'll do low octaves there, but I think that'll help it feel kind of final. So I will end there, and then the song is over. All right, thank you for sticking with me. I am now going to do a full playthrough so you can see how all the parts we've talked about fit together. And I know I gave you a bunch of options for spicing up the piano part. I'm going to keep it a little simpler towards the beginning, and then I'm going to kind of let loose as I go. You certainly don't have to copy exactly what I do and when, but maybe it can just give you some ideas for your version. And of course, nothing wrong with just keeping it super simple the whole way through and just focusing on your vocals. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. It really helps me out. Also, click the bell so you know when I put out more videos like this one. Okay, here's my version of Like a Rolling Stone. Once upon a time you dressed so fine, threw the bums a dime in your prime. To be with
precious gifts, but you better